it'd be fun to do a little bit of a game chat on The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. So, yeah, the game came out just a couple weeks ago. You can get it digitally or physically. I'm sure Barry got it physically. Greg, did you get a physical copy or digital?
I did digital just because like I did the two games for $100 rebate coupon thing.
Nice. So yeah, if you're unfamiliar with the story, you're going to be playing as Princess Zelda this time because Ganon has fought Link, but something happened, and all of a sudden now Link went disappearing down into this chasm, and a lot of other people are dropping into these chasms as well. It's happening all over Hyrule, and Zelda has to figure out what is going on. And these rifts and jumping into the rifts and then saving it. She has the help of a being called Tri that gives her a Tri rod that she can create things and recreate things that she encounters. So like boxes and rocks and things like that, but also a bunch of enemies and other things as she goes along. And essentially, it's a giant puzzle of a game. And so, yeah, Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. What do you think, Barry? What have you experienced so far? I know we've said already earlier in the podcast that Greg and I have not beaten it yet. You're 100%, so we'll stay away from spoilers. But what'd you think?
I loved it. I'm not gonna lie. There were definitely times where I wanted to just act like Link and just fight, And it was like, no, no. And it was fun using the echoes. It was like Pokemon. I had to catch them all and all that stuff. There were a lot of similar ones, and definitely ones that it allows you to play how you want to solve puzzles. And I'm sure the way I solve puzzles is very different than others. And even with the echoes, sometimes I didn't even think about like grabbing them with like the beam and like dragging them around and stuff like that, which is something you could do. But yes, the sword fighter mode, it was very fun. But it like triggered that mode in me where like I'll save 1,000 elixirs for the final boss and then never even use them, and so I could have used
Mm.
them the whole game. It was the same thing. Like anytime I would like do a boss or need them, I would use it. I would push up to use it, and then immediately, like once I was done, I would quickly hit up again so that it would conserve my energy. And I kind of wish I could have just not had to deal with that. Like you can expand that energy bar, and you could get equipment to drain it less, and I used all of those, but I wish there was just some kind of reward to make it a permanent. Like you've done all this, here's a reward. It does never drains, and then you
Mm.
can just switch to it because you can't. The game is built around the echoes, so even if you were Link the whole time, you could not progress certain parts. You would have to be Zelda. So I wish they did that. That's probably one of my only complaints. There's a lot of optional stuff too that I didn't even realize as I was digging into. Like there's automatons, which isn't really much of a spoiler, but you can go the whole game and never unlock an automaton and use an automaton. And it's like, oh yeah, these are whole different thing that you could do. And I really enjoyed the puzzles. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the dungeons, having traditional Zelda dungeons back again. I liked the still world segments. I thought those were cool, and how you go through them and how the dungeons are in the still world. And yeah, I just think it was a great game. Very much enjoyed it. Very much addicted. Like pulled in. My wife made a comment like, I love and hate Zelda games because I lose you during them, and this was no exception. But
Yeah,
yeah.
nice, nice. Greg, how about you?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed my time at the game so far. So I think I've only done the first two dungeons or so. I'm in like the Jubal Waters area because I did like the Gerudo Desert first. So it's just I know that none of this is not major spoilers because there's like it's kind of showing the trailers that the Zoras and the River Zoras are like fighting or whatever. So it's like that's not like it's really spoiling anything if you haven't heard anything for there. But that's about where I'm at in the game. I haven't like gotten to that particular dungeon yet, but um, as Barry was saying, I really like this number of the puzzle elements. Like it kind of gets you to kind of think outside the box. And then there was a few times where I thought I was kind of stuck, and then you don't really understand what certain things do until you actually start playing around with it. So then it's like, oh wait, I used this particular enemy, and then it helped me get past this obstacle. I didn't know the enemy would react in that way, kind of thing. So um, there's some basic like different spiders that they've shown in some of the trailers, and those were kind of what I was kind of just referencing. There's like the one that can kind of drag you up like a mountain or a cliff or type thing, and then the other one like makes like a actual web thing that you can climb vertically, and that enables lots of different extra things to look forward to help solve puzzles and stuff. So like I didn't even realize that how useful some of those would be, and then you come across actually like, oh wow, this actually does have a really good purpose there. So
Hmm.
um, yeah, usually there's some of the lesser ones, like just like the jars and stuff, like you don't really think you'll really need them, and then sometimes they make good platforms or even just good projectiles just to throw at enemies, just to help defeat them faster if you're not using other enemies to defeat like one that you're fighting. So um, I've actually not been very good with using the healing thing, which is kind of Breath of the Wild like, with like the cooking and making smoothies in this regard. I've been kind of just kind of stockpiling the smoothies and not actually using them, and then I still end up just dying a number of times, and it just kicks me back a little bit. So thankfully, there's like auto saves and stuff there. Otherwise, I'd be losing a lot more progress of that. But um, so far, I've just
Do
like
you
I
ever use
said,
the
I've just
beds to
really
heal?
Every time.
Every time. Yeah, I've
Occasionally,
used the
I'll
beds.
occasionally I'll eat an apple, but for the most part, I just pop out of bed and sleep.
I
No matter what. I've
see.
done it during a
I'm
boss
like in the
fight.
middle of
Instead
combat.
of
Like
using
I
a
got into
smoothie,
like
I'll
a
just
yeah. I have tried using the beds, and then like the enemies just attack me while I'm sleeping in the bed, so it doesn't make any.
Oh,
So it doesn't really help me out.
yeah.
But
so you just hop in the bed, get a tick, jump out of the bed, run away, use another bed, hop back in. That's what
Power
you
napping.
could absolutely recover.
Power
Power
napping
nap.
all the way through.
yeah, I mean, some of the bedding healing feels like it takes forever to actually like heal, but I
Yeah.
did get like the Gerudo soft bed, and that one goes a little bit faster, thankfully. But
Yep.
it also uses up more of the energy to spawn that bed.
Mm,
Um, and I do know that there's been a few groups I follow, and people are like showing like you can beat the game just using beds, kind of thing, and because it makes like the best type of bridge and everything else
oh,
that goes with it too, just because it's like 2 tiles long and everything. So I don't know. It's just been kind of fun playing around with the different echoes and their different uses, and discovering uses for things that you wouldn't think would actually have
yeah.
use in the game.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I've enjoyed it so far. Clearly I played a lot of it. Funny enough, though, I am not progressed very far in the game. I had the exact same plan as I did for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I just went exploring, and you can explore about 90 to 95% of this map just right out of the gate.
Yep.
And so that's what I did. I just went walking around and unlocked basically the entire thing except for the top center of the map as like the only place that
Hmm.
I can't get to right now. And everything else is unlocked. I've been to everywhere. I've gotten most of the stamps so far. Um, and yeah, I just keep going and keep going, and eventually now I'm back on the actual like plan of the game, and trying to make sure to go through the Gerudo Valley and everything right now. um so yeah, I'm having a blast with it. There are some weird things about it. So I'm wondering, why do all the people in the castle know who she is? They're after her. Number one, her cloak like disguises her, which is so funny because like you can't tell. But then people in Gerudo like heard her name, but they didn't know that she was the princess. She's the princess of Hyrule, and you're like, oh yeah, some random Zelda person. I guess she maybe have the power to like save this or whatever. She's like, and even like Sierra's like, are you willing to put trust in this person? Like the princess of Hyrule, like not just some random person, but okay, whatever. And then it's also weird that some echoes can hurt you and some can't. So like fire like sometimes hurt you, but the bombs don't, which is strange. Like so I was used to other echoes like running right in and everything, not having an issue, but then all of a sudden I'd catch fire from some of the echoes that I started. And so that's kind of the inconsistency there is a little weird. Um, Going through the list of all the echoes you have is incredibly tedious. Like after a while you start getting this huge list of, and it's just like going left and right on there. You can resort it like by most used and all these different things, but still it's kind of tedious to like go back and forth. Like in the end, I'm guessing you start to pick like your 5 or 6 that you go to
Hmm.
all the time. But still, like as you're learning the game and as I've done, as I went all around Hyrule to like unlock all these things. I have a huge list, and I haven't even started in Gerudo yet.
I did the same thing you did. I also explored everything before I ever went. I did Zora before Gerudo. Um, the funny thing about that list, because you have that shortcut. Well, when they tell you that shortcut, they show you it's the right button. They show you the 4 buttons
Yeah.
because they're expecting you to playing with Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
Well, I'm playing with the D-pad,
Right.
so because they're 4 separate, I'm thinking it's the A button.
Yeah.
So I'm hitting the A button and nothing is happening. So I'm increasingly getting frustrated.
Yeah.
Why is this not happening? It keeps looking in the help, push the right button. And
Yep.
then eventually I push the right in the D-pad. I'm like, oh, because the Joy-Con it's separate, but the Pro Controller D-pad is not. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you couldn't have put graphics for both there. This is an
Right.
official Nintendo controller I'm using here. And I was like, oh, that was so frustrating. It was a little
Yeah.
nitpick.
That.
And the same
Yeah.
thing with the Gerudo. I felt the same thing. Like, this is Zelda. Does no one else in the kingdom know who she is?
Right.
What the hell?
Yeah. I also found it was interesting that as I'm traversing everywhere, like you can get around this Hyrule pretty quick. I mean, it's a broad land, but I'm just like I'm going very very quick. Totally different than Breath of the Wild. Totally different than Tears of the Kingdom, for sure. And also to walk around and avoid enemies, I found pretty easy. I mean, I was playing on normal difficulty, so I didn't jump up to the hard difficulty, but still, just like walking around. It didn't seem like this Hyrule is not very populated. Now, granted, a lot of them may fell in the rifts, but in general, it doesn't seem like this is a very populated Hyrule in general. And there's not a ton of enemies. Like I was able to just avoid them most of the time. A few times, like when you get into the actual battles and stuff like that, where you have to face the enemies, but a lot of times I could just walk right around and keep on moving as I checked out the entire world. So just different, not necessarily knocks against it, but it's like it's just different than other Zelda games. Thoughts?
I did want to jump in really quick. You guys were kept mentioning how no one in Gerudo recognized like knew Zelda, but do you guys not know the Zelda lore? And there was like a previous game where it says like, oh, they just named every princess Zelda, so that's kind of like the origin of Zelda's name. How do you know this is the actual princess of the actual kingdom and not just some other girl that's just named Zelda? So,
Well, they don't even ask that or mention that. I mean, that was Zelda 2 that did that with the naming
Mm-hmm.
of all of them when they put her to sleep. But yeah, they even say, "Wait, Zelda isn't that the name of the princess? Are you the princess?" You know, we've heard that she's Rogue. Are you Rogue? Like they didn't even question it. They were
Right.
just like, "Oh, you're Zelda. Okay, you're just some random person." Like they'd never heard the name before.
Yeah. 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 I thought that was funny. Like even if like if that's the case, if Zelda is this popular name, which is what you're saying, Greg, like, oh, it's been passed on for years and years and years, well, then people should be associating that name with princess, like even if it's not, but especially like, oh, they're looking for her, maybe, yeah, that's what kind of confusing to me. I'm like, seems like they should have polished that up just a little bit. Yeah,
yeah.
in general, that's our thoughts. We don't want to belabor this a whole lot. I think we all enjoy the game. We all recommend the game. But any closing thoughts there, Barry?
No, I just think it's what I want to see is I want to see Grezzo keep doing 2D Zelda. I want to see what
Mm,
they do now. I think they can be trusted, and I think they did a great job. And if you like Zelda, this is a no-brainer. You're probably gonna love it.
yeah, yeah. Greg, how about you?
I definitely agree. I mean, the game is incredible, and I like how they kind of brought in some of the newer stuff from like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, with the creation and multi aspects of solving, and then brought it into the 2D nature. So I would also be really eager to see what else kind of other Zelda games that Grezzo is able to handle. I mean, even if it's just a sequel to this one and you're still Zelda, it still would be an excellent game in my book.
So yeah, the game is out now, and it's $59.99. You can get it digital or physical. But yeah, we got all of our copies on our own. Love the game, highly recommend it, and hope you guys can get yours as well. And let us know what you guys been thinking, and as you play the game in our comments. And we'd love to hear from you as well.